Podcasts are gonna be big someday. I really have a feeling this thing is going to take off. What a great way to share what I do with others, and for others to share their voice with the world. I am going to start doing this podcast thing. That's not me speaking today, like a dope. That's my friend Elsie Escobar thinking out loud over 15 years ago. Elsie is a trailblazer in the podcasting world, blending heart, hustle, and a whole lot of purpose into everything she does. As a veteran podcaster and current co-host of Libsyn's The Feed, Elsie has been a voice at the forefront of the podcasting industry for well over a decade. But here's the kicker. She's not just a podcasting pro herself. Elsie is a fierce champion for all women in the audio space. From her work with ShePodcasts, where she uplifts and empowers female voices, to her yoga instruction and mindful and well-being practices, Elsie brings more than just technical knowledge to the table. She's a force of authenticity in an often overproduced world, proving that success doesn't just come from following a formula. It comes from showing up whole, vulnerable, and fully present. She's an actor. She's a woman. She's Salvadorian American. She's Miranda. She's Prospero. She's the yogi. She's the first Latina to be inducted into the Podcasting Hall of Fame. She's the director of content and community at Libsyn. She's the podcasting mentor, advocate, pundit, presenter, pontificator, doyen, and guru. She also does some podcasting. In this episode, we dive deep into Elsie's whole creative journey, the challenges of staying grounded in a rapidly evolving medium, and why she believes that every voice deserves to be heard. Even mine? So buckle up. Elsie Escobar is here to drop some wisdom that'll make you rethink how you approach your creative career. Let's get into it. 3, 2, 1, let's have some fun. Hello and welcome everybody to the Offstage Acting Podcast.
Hello.
We're back again for another fun and exciting and exceptional, amazing episode.
Yes, enlightening, intriguing, captivating. That's us.
Wow, those are some big words. Here, Big Word Day on the Offstage Acting Podcast. What was the last thing you said, Jay?
I said I played Scrabble recently, which is
that's good. Yeah, I usually do dog and then doggone it. And
Wait,
then
okay.
I add letters to the existing cat,
Right.
and then catastrophe, and cats plural.
The secret to Scrabble is the 2-letter words. You know, you put those in the middle. Anyway,
Yeah.
My dad's a big Scrabble player.
Well, shout out to your pops there.
To my pops, yeah.
Big
Anyway.
Scrabble player. How you doing, JJ?
I'm doing all right. I'm doing good.
Yeah.
Auditioning and being busy, but like in like existential inner self.
Mm-hmm.
But outer self is busy and creative, so that's that's how I am.
Didn't you had some jobs lately, and we didn't talk about them. What was that 3-day gig you had?
I did. I actually
Okay.
it was like an audio drama. I
Yeah.
can't. We'll talk about it in a few months. It was a 6-day gig. But they had. It's not like anything huge, but they really had a big press thing, and it was so much fun. It's a very fun role. Amazing people, but I can't talk about it.
Of course
They
not.
really aggressively said, "Please don't talk about it."
All right.
Yeah.
What was it about?
But yeah. It was about what? Oh, okay. We can't talk about it. That's fine. What was the name of it?
Who's in it? What's the title?
Who did it?
Who
No,
produced
it was. It was a fun. It was a fun radio play audio
Cool.
drama.
That's
It
good.
was really cool.
All right.
Yeah.
I'm glad you had that experience then. And then you said you had a casting, but you had a question, and I told you let's save it for the podcast. So what was the question?
Yes.
Because I'm mining for gold out here. I'm looking for anything at this point.
Please, someone speak.
I
No,
need
okay.
some
So
help.
Okay, Todd, I did have a question for you actually.
Mm-hmm.
So I have 2 auditions due tomorrow at 10 a.m.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And so my agent, obviously, they send me like the casting from the company, right? And the company's or the studio's email says we need tapes or whatever by 10 a.m.
Mhm.
Wednesday, blah blah blah. And I'm now, and I've, existential inner Jay hasn't done them yet. And so I was like, oh, I'll just do them after the podcast. I'll do them later day. But then I'm like, wait a second, do I need to get them to my agent by today so that they send them in time, right? Like, is that 10 a.m. Wednesday deadline actually not for me to send them to my agent? Is it for my agent to send it to the studio? And therefore I need to get to my agent like now? That's the
No,
question.
no, you're okay.
You sure?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Because you got to think of it also in this way. The acting world, the entertainment industry starts at 10 a.m. That's when everybody else usually gets in the office. They have to be there by 8, 9. But because of the way our industry works, 10, it's usually a 10 to 6. That's the 8-hour workday for us in our industry. So nobody's getting into the casting studio in central London until 10. So when they say by 10 a.m., that means when they sit down at their desk and fire up their computer, they want to see all the castings that are going to be there, right? So your agent probably also doesn't get up until and get working until 10 either, but essentially it's sending a link or
Yeah.
getting it to them within that time frame. So even if it's in by 11, within that kind of hour, because that's when they're going to start going through them. So they always give you that deadline of like, get it into me by tomorrow at 11 or something like that, because they know that that's the time frame in which they're going to sit down and start kind of sifting through these things.
All right. Okay.
But generally, also you might be uploading to like a Dropbox link or some other link that they're providing, and not even my agent half the time doesn't even see my castings
Hmm.
because it's an automatic. I'm uploading
You're
directly
doing
to
it
them.
yourself. Yeah.
Yeah, and then my agent has nothing to do it other than forward it on. But if it's a big file, then why would I even send it to my agent? It's usually a
Just
direct. Yeah, we
got
transfer
it.
or they send it Dropbox. So double check your emails because it might just be like, oh, upload it here.
It's not. They are both like agent will pass it
We'll
on.
pass it on.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Well,
So
then all your agent has to do is open their email in time, and especially if you just tell my agent or tell your agent, uh,
if you tell my agent who you will send the
tell
stuff
my
to,
agent that you're sending your whatever.
yeah.
Oh,
Okay.
coffee.
Drink that coffee,
Oh
hot toddy.
God. Okay. Yeah. Get
Yes.
a grip.
Well,
Well,
anyway, yeah.
yeah.
How
Okay.
are you?
I'm good. Yeah. Oh, so ask me what I did yesterday.
What did you do yesterday?
I am so glad you asked.
Oh my gosh.
I had an interesting day. I went down to Equity
Huh?
headquarters, Equity
Oh.
HQ, which those of you who know is the UK actors labor union, similar
Mm,
to SAG. This is the UK version, not to be confused with Equity, which is the theater part of US. Anyway,
yeah.
and I got an invitation, which I didn't really quite understand because I had another invitation come in, but the invitation was to for like a forum on film and TV, um, the future of film and TV negotiations from the union, and it was an exciting
Oh,
day.
great.
Yeah, I went down, sat at the big table. There was tons of like, I'd say not famous but well-known
Oh.
actors, recognizable. I was the only one that wasn't recognizable. They're like, hey, we need
What are
more
you talking
coffee in
about?
here, boy. And I was like, I'm supposed to be part of the thing. Anyway, and no, it was pretty good though. I mean, it was a bit of a whinge fest to some degree, but it was like it was a really like a panel of authentic voices of people with experience, practical experience, because generally speaking, and we've talked to Linda Rook, the
Yes.
president of Equity, before, and she's what as an actor as well as the president. But a lot of the people that run the union, of course, are business people. Let's say
Yeah.
they run unions. That's what they do. They help
Mm,
trade unions organize themselves, and they don't know anything about the actual trade. So it was an
okay.
opportunity to give a bunch of feedback back and forth as to what we see are the issues and have them start kind of digesting. And it was really strong and powerful. It was a full day.
Wow.
We broke up into groups. We talked about a lot of stuff, and ultimately, we kind of figured out like, this is the angle and the tact, some of the direction that we want to go in. Um, yeah, so I was kind of excited about it.
Oh my gosh. Did what w- you said it was a full day
Yeah, so we went from 10 to 5, and
and you talked about negotiating. I feel like you'd be a very good
it
negotiator.
wasn't. It was more about like what kind of things do we want to start bringing to the table to the major production companies and producers, and it was stuff about around essentially, like the self tapes,
So what you've been
contracts,
talking
the
about.
AI stuff, yeah,
Mm.
and just getting a real feel for it. But it sort of it was great because we were sort of building momentum, and it was clear that ultimately, you know, the union was very interested in knowing what direction to take.
Kind
Future,
of
yeah.
Yeah, kind of. Wait, this is kind of on the subject. Is like a very now question. I was talking to you about the castings that I was in. One of them was for a video game, and
Mm.
on my email it said, I'm looking at it right now. It said, please note, this is an indie game, so not affected by the recent equity AAA rate change. Do you know about this? Was there like some big thing that happened? Oh,
Yeah, that
this
was a huge thing.
breaking
Equity
news.
has made a lot of inroads with the video game industry, and we've changed a lot of. Well, so it's. I'll try to do it quickly in a nutshell because we got a great guest, and I want to get to her.
Okay,
But
okay, okay, okay. We don't have to go that far.
but there is a thing that says happen with the equity agreement. If you get a job and it says this is an equity contract, or in the states if it's a SAG contract, it means that
Yeah.
SAG has negotiated this for us. Whether or not you're even in the union, you will get that rate that was negotiated by the union. So and the union has a specific way of going in and dealing with companies and saying, look, this is the standard rate, and if you want to be under a contract and use our performers, then you have to do it this way. Um, so you can benefit from that. Now, if it's an independent, and sometimes they try to scooch under the radar and go, this is an independent film, this is an independent project, then it's not, looks like it's not a big corporate thing, and so they give you a better rate.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
You can,
because it's not
it's not
but you're
under the
saying they
equity
do it because they
pact.
make it seem like it's like a lower,
I mean, there's some shenanigans sometimes where they kind of slip it in, and then you find out later, well, wait a minute, why is Disney distributing this independent, like,
so recently there was some sort of like big negotiating fee or something involving AAA games.
right, right. Yeah, with
Okay, so there's
including and more coming with the residuals and things like that. This
this has been
is.
talked about. I think you've
Oh yeah,
mentioned this before, like
yeah.
that there's been a big kind of like, because video games are becoming so big that like
In the States, a lot of these guys, they get residuals, they get all kinds of buyouts and things for the games.
hmm,
Here in Europe and in the UK, we're not seeing that. So there's a balancing act between like getting the job and getting the opportunity because it's cheaper here. We're cheap labor in Europe and the UK for them, so the opportunities come this way. But you're also then denying somebody a job out of the States, and
hmm,
you yourself are not getting paid what the value of the thing you're doing. And video games, nobody's going to tell you, well, we don't make a lot of money in these video games. It's like,
yeah, you
uh-huh.
do.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, you
And
do.
even though 350 pounds or dollars an hour for that sounds like a lot of money, it's not in the grand scheme of how much they make from
Especially some again, if we're talking about these AAA games, like the amount of audience for them
yes,
and
yeah,
is the revenue is
massive,
pretty, yeah,
massive, yeah. And then,
huge.
yeah, huge. Speaking of huge,
Yes.
so you know how we have a podcast?
Uh,
You've heard of
roughly.
it? You've heard of the Offstage Acting podcast?
Kind of.
Yeah, not many people have, to be fair, but there's been a few. There's a few people out there talking about it. They're snickering. Now, do you remember how we started and kicked this thing off? And we had a little bit of help.
We did have a little bit of help.
Yeah, we had help from a dear old friend of mine who's like the queen of podcasting. I don't know if
Oh,
that's her official moniker. It might be. Maybe
the
somebody's going to
queen.
say the queen.
Well,
So
we've given it.
I probably wouldn't even gotten into this if I didn't have her help. So her name's Elsie Escobar.
Okay.
She and I met. I'll tell you a quick meet cute, a very quick meet cute. I don't know. We're friends, so I don't know if it's a meet cute. Can you do it for friends?
I don't know
Um,
what a meet cute is, so I'm
meet. I
just
think all the
saying.
kids are saying meet cute now. Like if like the cute way that you met your partner. or your
A
boyfriend
meet
or your
cute?
girlfriend. Yeah, it's like, oh, that's a meet
This is
cute.
a meet cute.
Yeah, all right, don't say it like
I
that.
don't think it's gonna stick.
There's a movie called Meet Cute. Anyway, it's MEET, by the way. Now, anyway,
Okay.
this is a cute story about how her and I met. We were, and I'll tell it before she comes on because I tell it better than she does. We were, picture this, just picture this, 18. Picture me 18, cherubbed face,
All right.
freckles, flowing like fluffy blonde hair, 5'9", 82 pounds. Just like a little,
eyes full of
big,
innocence instead of anger.
big white, blue, wide, innocent eyes. So we met in university. There was,
okay.
and there was like a day, I think, I can't remember if, I think I was either determining if I was going to go, or I was pretty much going, I was on the fence, but they gave us a little tour, they offered up a little tour, and I turned up to a tour with my mommy and daddy, and there was only one other person on the tour with her mommy and daddy, and that was Elsie.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
so. That is a meet cute.
That's a meet cute. And so we spent the whole day walking around the school, half day, and then we had lunch together. I met her family and her parents and all. And she was she was shy as well. And I mean, our family's it was just I don't know, whatever, how many's 3 plus 3? What's that?
6.
I don't think her brother was there. I think it was just her. Yeah, 6. It was just the 6 of us being given this little goofy tour of the campus and stuff, convincing us to go or whatever.
Wow.
And I remember, I think my mother.
Still friends.
We're
That's
still,
crazy.
and there's the first person I met at university. Like the first, like boom, like day one. It wasn't even day one. It was pre-day one. So then when we got to university, maybe a few months later, then I was like, oh, hey, Elsie. She was like, who? What? I don't. Can you not bother me, please? Anyway, I was like, really? No, she was great. And I remember my mother kind of nudging me like, Elsie. Might be a little something. Elsie, go.
All right, let's bring her on.
She might remember the story completely differently. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, where's my mouse? Oh wait, I can't do. I gotta do this. I gotta do one thing.
Oh.
One thing. Hold on.
Oh, are we gonna get?
We gotta do a thing.
Yes,
this is because she's an. I gotta show. All right.
Jesus.
No, this is from The Tempest.
Okay.
And I think there she is.
My dearest father, you have put the wild waters in this floor. Helene.
It's gonna be embarrassing.
It seems we pour down stinking pitch, but that the sea mounting to the well can seek death to the firehouse. Oh, I have suffered with those that I suffered.
Oh, now she's hiding behind the. That's Prospero from The Tempest.
Yeah.
It's the best copy I had. I can see Elsie is like turned bright red. I can't see her. Oh well. I just found that really quickly.
Any god of power, I would have sunk the sea within the earth, or should the good ship so have swallowed in the frothing souls within her.
Oh, she's in. I love it.
Yeah.
Piteous heart, there's no harm done.
Oh, that was the name. Yeah, Miranda. Is that the name of the?
I think so. I might be wrong.
All right, there you go. That's from The Tempest. Well, let's bring her in. I had another little clip. Shall I do it real quick? I'll do it real quick.
Oh my gosh, you're really boob.
Can I?
Podcasting strategy
Just to give
in
you a
the
little...
next 12 months. I had the opportunity to chat with a handful of smart podcast people that shared their predictions, their thoughtful observations, and their wishes for the podcasting industry in 2024. 2023 called into question what we know about the podcasting industry. I hope that their voices inspire you to think deeper about your work.
There she is. All right, I'm going to bring her on. That's the podcasting queen. Elsie! What'd you think of that? Yeah, welcome.
Good
What's
Lord.
that look? What's that look?
That's a scary look.
When was the last time you saw that? When have you seen that last?
Never.
You never saw that, Miranda?
No,
Your little
Never. I never watched my own work like that. I don't think I've ever watched any of my work on stage, ever.
Is there a reason for that?
No. The reason is nobody showed it to me.
Nobody ever showed it. Well, there you go.
Yeah. So, and then I actually, weirdly, as my sort of grad school, how do you say it? The thing that you do at the end of grad school to get like your thesis. Yeah. As my thesis, I played Prospero. It was a one-woman show about Prospero. It was my proudest achievement. I fought to be granted the right to play a man or a man's role as a woman, of course, because
in a man's world,
to fight hard. And I was granted the opportunity. They said, "Okay, you can do it." I loved that, working on that piece, and it was all filmed. All of our thesis were filmed, and I was so proud. And then all of those tapes were lost.
Oh no!
So I never got a chance to see it.
Where did you go to grad school again? Somewhere Arizona?
The National Theater Conservatory in Denver.
Denver, duh. Yeah, nice. Yeah. So your acting journey began at what age? Like, why did you choose LMU? We both went to Loyola Marymount University and both went into theater. You went into the theater program as well, right?
Yeah.
So you kind of knew already, like, this is what I'm going to be doing?
No, not really. I had no idea what I wanted to do. In high school, I had done a couple plays, and I enjoyed it. It was easy. It was sort of easy. I never chose it. It kind of chose me, not in the sense that I was like, oh, it was just the fact that the teacher said, you can do this really well. They gave me a lot of opportunities. I never had to fight for any roles. I just got the roles. It was easy. It was nice. I applied to university. I wanted liberal arts, and I think that the reason that I chose LMU is because it was a Jesuit university. That would make my parents happier that I was leaving the house, because I wanted to leave the house.
Right.
And it was a Jesuit university, and thus it was all right because it was sanctioned by the Jesuits.
Right.
And I came from a very staunch Catholic Latin American family, and thus it was an okay yes. I also got pretty decent financial aid. And it was far enough away that my parents could come see me,
but not every lunch.
Not every lunch.
Right.
And it was basically because of that. So there was no, in my brain, I wanted to be a teacher at early childhood education. That's what I wanted to do.
Right. Okay. I remember that. Yeah. I do remember that. Yeah. And you did some of that too, didn't you?
I did.
You worked a lot with kids.
I did.
Yeah.
I did. That's what was one of my jobs when I was at school.
So fun fact about Elsie, were you born in El Salvador? You were? Yeah. El Salvador. And when did you come to the States?
1981.
Okay. And you were 1 year old? No, I'm just kidding.
I was 9.
You were 9. Okay.
Yeah.
9, and you came to LA?
I came to
Somewhere?
LA.
The area?
Yes.
Yeah.
Burbank.
Is that where you grew up, Burbank?
I grew up in Burbank until I was 14.
Okay.
And then we moved to Laverne.
Oh, that's right. I remember Laverne. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Because that's not far. That's not too. That's way up in the mountains, kind of, isn't it? Like very rural.
It's close to San Dimas, nearish San Bernardino-ish.
Yeah. It's not far from where I grew up, to be honest.
This is such California talk.
This is California talk now.
I know.
Cali talk, yeah. Well, because it was interesting that Elsie always felt very comfortable. The thing that I reminded of just now was that Elsie rode the bus.
I did.
Everywhere she went.
Everywhere.
Yeah. In L.A.
In L.A. I went to all my auditions on the bus.
On the bus.
In
Which
LA.
seems
everyone always talks trash about the buses in LA. Can I get an opinion from someone who doesn't think that? Are they actually that trash?
They are trash. Yeah, no, they are trash. They were when I was there. I don't know what's happened now because it's been a while since I've been on the bus. I rode public transportation the entire time I was there. I got very adept at taking buses from
Yeah.
all over.
Yeah.
I would spend, of course, hours on a bus.
Mm.
But I think that, I mean, one of the things that I think a lot of people don't realize is that when you're on the bus, you can really connect with the people, with actual like
Yeah.
humanity.
Yeah.
When you're in a car and you
The
have your own,
derelicts, the homeless, the mentally insane,
and
the perverts, you could
everyday
connect.
workers
Oh,
that
those two, yeah.
that keep the world moving.
Yeah,
People who are
the
not
real people, yeah, for sure, yeah.
all
People
the
who,
real, yeah. So it was great. I used to also ride my bike. I used to
that's right.
take my bike and put it on the bus and take all the stuff. Oh my God.
It was an
those stories.
odd scene to see Elsie, like you would drive around and you'd see Elsie at bus stops.
Yep.
And then I would pull over from time to time and be like, get in, where are you going? You know, come on. It's like now, and people, I know a lot of people do that. They just insist on giving you rides and stuff. And you'd be like, it's fine. It's perfectly, like, the bus is perfectly legitimate way. But none of us could wrap our heads around it. Be like, I would never take the bus. Are you insane? And it makes perfect sense in retrospect. It's just 5 stops and you're down to where you need to be. And what's the problem? But I think it was just the fact that only the very poor didn't have a car, because it was such a driving city, and it was such a necessity in a sense to have a car, that if you didn't, then you were either an alcoholic who had your license taken away, or you were extremely sort of poor or young student. But yeah, Elsie used to manage those buses.
But it just a lot. I mean, then you wonder how people get so separate, right? Because that is really.
Oh, it was awful to sit in that box. You're sitting in a metal box in traffic, in the heat, sunny day, and you're just sitting there thinking, there's thousands of people around me. And then you see one person walking down the sidewalk. This is LA again. There's one person walking down the sidewalk. And you go, oh my God, are they okay? I hope they're all right. Do they need water? Where are they going? How are they managing?
Yeah, I still do that. I still walk. We were just, actually, my husband was just saying, we did a huge walk yesterday. We call it the grinder. We walked 2.5 hours.
Oh yeah.
One way with the kids. Like we do lots of urban hiking. So it's like, anyway. Right. So we just walked in the city. Like we did exactly what you're talking about. All of us, like one way. We stopped for a little bit and came back and stuff. And that was the first time. He usually just goes with one of our kids, but this time we all went together to do it. And he goes, you remember, well, this shouldn't have been too bad for you. You used to do this all the time. And I said, yeah. And then he goes, remember when you were pregnant and you were doing your pulley bag and you would just walk just like this? And I go, yes. And he goes, and everybody thought that I was like the worst husband ever because you're letting your pregnant wife, you know what I mean?
Roam the streets.
Going on the streets. And then I was like, but he goes, but you wanted to do that. And I said, yes, I did. Like I didn't.
Yeah.
I was always that person.
Good.
So I'm like pulling it's like I'm going on travels with this giant belly, like grabbing it and on the bus.
Grocery shopping at the right.
Same thing.
It makes perfect sense I've lived in Europe now for 25 years, so public transit is not new to me anymore. And I take it regularly, and I walk regularly and things. And my partner and my ex-wife didn't even drive, nothing, so it wasn't a thing. And I think as a Londoner particularly, Jay, you don't have a car. You don't drive around, do you? Right.
No.
So, I mean, we're used to it now, but it was just kind of that scene. And it was,
I think LA, to be fair, is a driving city.
It's a big driving city, yeah. And you were going to castings by bus.
I was.
That's like a full day then. Like, that's your day.
Yes. I hated to get the call to go to the Valley because I lived. This sounds really a lot more pretentious than it actually is, the reality. But I used to live in Beverly Hills, and I used to live in the 90211 area code, not 90211.
So close.
So close. And it was this one street, right? It was still like the next street over was not Beverly Hills. It was just one street.
It was like West Hollywood, on the edge of West Hollywood, Beverly Hills.
It was like, but
I
literally
technically
was like,
you were in the Beverly Hills, yeah.
Yeah, I was a block away from the Beverly Center. That's kind of where I lived.
I remember that. I remember when you lived there.
So then, like, when I would get castings to go to the Valley, it was a massive endeavor. Like, it was at least a 2-hour, like, like
3 buses,
multiple buses and trains and things like that.
Yeah.
Oh, it was nuts. And
were
then there
extroverted?
were. I'm sorry.
Were you extroverted? Do you talk to people on the bus?
No. I don't talk to anyone. In fact, I'm surprised I'm talking to you guys right now. This is like shocking to me.
Weird guys. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. I'm sorry. No. I don't talk to people. I don't acknowledge their existence. I'm really good at like.
Yeah, closing off and shutting down.
And I also have a massive like RB. What is it called?
Resting bitch face.
Yes.
RBF, I guess.
Yes, RBF. I am that. Although I present differently. So I know,
this is very clear. Even from youth, you were very also standoffish to me. It took us, I think, half a day on that story I was telling. It was like a half a day before you even warmed up to like me, and I'm like, we're hanging out. We're all together.
I'm super shy, super
shy, yeah.
And I do tend to like my face looks scary. Something like just stay away from me, kind of a.
Yeah, you got that look. That's like. Don't mess.
So yeah, I did not speak to people, and plus, when I was taking the bus rides, I was focusing on the audition.
Yeah, the casting.
Right.
Yeah.
So I wasn't
probably good.
Reading your script and things like that. Yeah. But that's a full day. So I mean, you get there 2 hours and then walk in for 20 minutes and then back on the buses. And how long were you doing the grind? So you graduated LMU, right?
Yeah.
With me.
Yeah.
We're the same. Yeah. You did a bunch of stuff there. That was the Tempest, but you also were in, what was all the shows you did in LMU? I remember Cherry Orchard.
July.
5th of July, that's right, yeah.
The Cherry Orchard.
Cherry Orchard, yeah.
And then Reimers.
Wilsard. Oh, Reimers, of course, we were in Reimers together. Oh, there's this story, and why didn't I share that clip? I have a clip of that somewhere.
Oh, God.
Here's the story. This is a story I got to tell
was
Jay.
Like that smallest.
Reimers was great, and that's Mark McLaughlin. I'm going to give a shout out to him. I know he'll be listening to this episode because he loved you. He directed that. He directed that play. And it was a great cast. It was kind of in the little, was it little theater? We had.
What was that called?
It was the other theater, not the little one, but. And then I'll tell Jay. I'm going to tell Jay this part because I can't.
No.
And I'm looking for a clip as well at the same time.
No.
So I played. Reimers was a great show. I played Elsie's boyfriend in the show.
Okay.
Abusive, kind of rednecky boyfriend. Reimers is a typecast, exactly. Reimers is a kind of show that takes place in like a small town and everybody's intertwined and it's all crazy.
Ooh, like a small town where?
The Reimers of Eldritch. Midwest, I guess, somewhere.
Midwest, okay.
It was getting cold. It was that kind of thing. And everybody's messing around with each other in some degree. And there's like a diner and I think maybe a cast of 12 or 15. It was a great cast. But here's the story I'm going to tell, right, Elsie? No, she's shaking her head. She doesn't know. She doesn't know how podcasts work, by the way.
Like,
You can't just shake your head. You have to verbalize.
Sorry. I have no idea. I honestly.
It's not much of a story, but I played the boyfriend, and in the play, I have to get a little rough with her and stuff, and I'm kind of like, I'm like, you messing around, and I'm gonna get you, and I don't know, smack you or something maybe, or I push you, and her boyfriend, her real boyfriend, had come to the show, and he was this classic, like, I don't know, overzealous, jealous guy. And after the show, we were out back, a bunch of us, and somebody kind of comes up and goes, Elsie's boyfriend's after you. And I was like, what? Yeah, Elsie's boyfriend wants a piece of you. And I played a guy in an auto mechanic, and I saw him in like a denim jumpsuit and stuff. You don't remember this, Elsie? Your boyfriend wanted to beat me up.
Object permanence, I'm telling you. I completely have let go of so many
let go of that
things
stuff.
I don't
Elsie,
remember.
I'm the same way.
Yeah, I guess if it didn't traumatize you, it only traumatized someone else. Then
Todd, you're an archivist.
Yes, absolutely. Yes.
So anyway, Elsie's boyfriend wanted to beat me up because in the play, I guess he didn't understand the difference between theater and reality. But he was very jealous. You got rid of him pretty quick anyway, as far as I remember.
Is Tempest your favorite Shakespeare play? I'm thinking of Shakespeare, sorry.
It was, I think, because of the magical Prospero. That is why I really resonated with that role, because that role was the role that I really wanted to play. I thought that the role of Prospero is everything. Yeah, everything that I wanted to play on screen, which was big and magical and just I don't know. I like the wise woman aspect of it all.
Yeah.
And how the balance between being a mother and letting go of the kid of their child, another girl. And so I really wanted to get into that. So anyway, to me, I always thought Prospero should have been a woman. So that's why I wanted to play.
So you did it.
Yeah. So I did.
So that was that's following the trajectory then. After doing a good handful of plays in college, which you were very good in, and then directly after, did you go to grad school directly after? I seem to recall. Yeah, was it straight to Denver?
Straight to Denver. It was again very. It was again a choice that I did not make consciously. That it was haphazard. I didn't know what I was going to be doing. I received in the mail a brochure for the National Theater Conservatory. And I opened it up and I was like, oh, this is neat. And then they said they had yoga classes. And I was like, and I've never done yoga ever. I'd never done yoga in my life, like ever. And so then I thought, oh, I want to do that. I want to do yoga in my grad school program. I didn't care about the whole acting part. And they were having auditions in San Francisco. And my best friend from high school, who I was just reconnecting with, lived in San Francisco. And I thought,
perfect.
I need to go visit my friend and use this as an excuse.
Right.
Auditioning. Absolutely. And so I went and I auditioned, and I just, again, I wasn't even considering it. It was all about my best friend.
Right.
And then they
Trip
called
to San
me
Francisco.
back.
Yeah.
And I was like, what? This is crazy. And we were doing the cherry orchard during the callbacks. It was a callback weekend.
Right.
They flew us to Denver to do the callback.
Really?
24 people were called back.
At their expense.
And I was, they did that. They paid for us to fly out there. And I told them, I'm sorry, I'm doing a show. I can't do it. That's what I said to them.
Right.
And they were like, oh, just come when you're finished. Finished with the, so he goes, so obviously, I don't know when we were doing the show. Probably Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, I'm assuming. Not Saturday and Sunday. Friday, and then matinee on Saturday and Saturday night. I don't think we did a Sunday, did we? I don't know. So they were like, oh, just come for the last day of the weekend, because they had these kids there. You flew in there and you auditioned for 3 days or 2 days.
Oh my God.
Like that. At the Denver Center the theater.
Yeah.
And 2 days working with the teachers, working with each other, for auditioning in front of each other, doing things and all this stuff. Because anyway, I'll tell you why in a second. And so they had been there working together, these kids, this entire time. And then here comes the errant one that is coming in just for the last day. So I walk in there not knowing what I literally came from the airport straight to the black box, essentially, at the Denver Center. And they're like, are you ready to do your audition monologue? And I was like, what?
I don't know.
So I had to audition in front of the rest of the people,
Oh my
they're
God.
all the other
all the
24
other
Who'd already
kids.
been there for 2 days.
who had
Strangers.
already been there for 2 days.
Yeah.
And I had to watch, I was like,
The new
obviously,
girl. Yeah.
whatever. It's one of those things where it's like out of body experience. You just kind of like go, okay, what am I going to do? Freak
I gotta
out?
do this. Yeah.
I gotta do this
it.
thing. So I just did it. And I think I had the rest of the afternoon with them. I can't remember what else we did that day. I just know that was scary. But, whatever. I don't think I met too many people. And then I had to go home. So I basically was there for like a day. And then I went into my hotel room and I very specifically remember putting my stuff away. I was going to fly back. And I get a phone call at the hotel.
Oh.
And they were like, we want you to do this. We want you in.
Really?
And I was like, what? Huh? Wait,
wow.
We're not even done with the weekend.
Right.
I mean, I'm playing home. I mean, I thought we were going to wait.
They love you.
So they offered me the space, and I basically told my parents, guess what, Mom and Dad? I'm moving to Denver to do the slave program. So the reason that they fly people in there is because it's kind of like, it's because they only accepted 8 students every year.
Wow.
5 men and 3 women.
Wow.
And so they needed to have the right mix of people so that they could work together and also put on shows, because we, for the rest of the year, we were cast in a lot of different, obviously, shows for us, for our own class. But also the point was that we were to, by the end of this program, we would have gotten our equity card because we had opportunity to be on stage at the Denver Center Theater Company.
Right.
That's a big deal.
That was huge. So that was really big. And so they needed to also have people who could be part of those, the possible plays and fit into that. So there was like a lot of little things like that. And, but what we did find out is that, so they had the 8 chosen. And then I believe, and my fellow NTCers from my class can tell this story better, again, because I forget things. But by the time we got there, one of the men dropped out. So we ended up with 7 of us, 3 women and 4 men for the rest of the 3 years that we were there together.
Wow.
Yeah. That was an amazing experience.
That is, That's, I suppose you're still friends with all of them and keep in touch.
Yeah, we actually, this is a little hard actually. We were together, like, we kind of lost touch, when we left. We saw each other, and then online, Facebook, all that stuff came out. And one of our people died by suicide just this year.
Oh, gosh.
And so we came back together.
That's what brought you guys back. Yeah.
We've been keeping in touch, and we have a WhatsApp chat, and we are communicating again and sharing pictures and remembering, and it's all for him. It's for Rolls. That was his name.
Right.
And because we just thought, because we kept going back, I'm like, if he would have just reached out to any one of us,
Yeah, because that's a tight, for those who don't really understand, like, I think it was tight. If you're in theater, it's tight.
Yeah.
And then if you're 7 for a 3-year program, that's like because you're performing together. You're working together daily.
We're performing together. We were together 24/7. I lived.
Yeah, living, sleeping, eating.
Stuff. Oh, we lived and breathed together. We did everything together because we had essentially no other choice. And we had a very unique chemistry, all of us. We were the magical class, which everybody said. We just happened to be really easy to work with. We weren't troublemakers. We did what we were supposed to do. We
Right.
We're good at what we did.
Performed well. Yeah.
We performed well. We got along well. Everybody loved our class. We were like an entity as one, right? And it was really, yeah. And so we were it's like you just kind of take it for granted. And so we are, yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's exactly what put us back in contact as well, because we had this reunion that we wanted to plan for the undergraduate class of Loyola. Anybody within that kind of 4-year period that we'd known. It was a bigger reunion with, I think, more like 50 people. I remember reaching out to you, and then you were saying, well, I can't make it all the way to LA now, but if it was a hybrid thing, virtual and physical, then I would love to. And I thought, oh, that's genius. Of course, we'll do it. So that was thanks to your impetus that I set that up in the room, and we had Zoom open, and people were able to communicate back and forth through Zoom, and people that couldn't come physically, I think there was about maybe 15 or so friends from all over that got into the Zoom, and they were able to communicate people that were physically at the reunion. It was really cool. And I remember sort of saying to some people, friends of mine here and there, you know, what's going on? Oh, I've got to go to LA. I'm going to LA next week. I've got a reunion for university. And a lot of them going, university? I don't even know anybody I went to university with. I don't remember anybody. And I thought, oh yeah, of course. Well, you went to business school, you know. You didn't, you know, or you studied economics or something, you know. I had to kind of explain, oh no, this is a theater group together. That's why we all, you know and love and care and want to see each other and know who we are, because we spent all that time together. And that's the difference between the actor and the rest of the regular folk.
Yeah.
The norms, I call them. The 99
the norms.
I don't know what I call them, but non-cool actors who just go out there and live a non-creative life. God bless you. God bless you. But you don't understand the value of working together. But it is true. No, all kidding aside. Well, sorry to hear about your friend. It's a tragedy, and it also happened to another friend of ours from
my heart goes out to you,
Loyola, and
thank you.
it's a tough. Yeah, it gets tough.
It's really hard.
So Elsie graduates and does her thesis as Prospero.
Yes.
That's cool. Was that well received? Did you get an A?
I think so.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't even think we had grades.
Probably not. It's
like we didn't have grades. Yeah, we didn't. I don't think we had grades.
So then what was the kind of, because we lost track of each other for a decade or more, maybe 2. And then you pop up. I had heard you were doing yoga, so I know that I want to talk about that, because all of a sudden it was like yogique. And I was like, oh, that's perfect. She's like the yogique.
I'm gonna do that soon.
She's way into, and I saw that you had like a website. I'm like, oh, Elsie's doing, okay, she's cool. She's teaching yoga. She's into her yoga. That's cool. And then the next thing I saw somewhere in the travels in on the wire was Elsie's got a podcast, a yoga podcast. And this is back, folks. I'm going to tell you, before podcasting was a thing. She was podcast when podcast wasn't cool. And I was, and my first thought was like, oh my God, that is really stupid. How do you do a podcast about yoga? That doesn't make any sense. And she's lost her marbles and whatever. And I just didn't get it. But I didn't think, I thought, well, good for her, as long as she's happy. But I didn't, like, I couldn't put together a yoga-based podcast. That's how ignorant I was, folks. But meanwhile, Elsie has, so I want to get into it. I want to talk about the yoga stuff. And why did you turn your back on acting?
Oh my God. Do you really want to hear that story? No.
A little bit.
I think that part of it is, I loved being on stage, of course. That's it's just an incredible opportunity. I honestly, when I was in grad school, I didn't think I would ever not do it. Being on stage,
right?
It was just,
of course, you're in grad school for
right?
it.
Yeah. Hello.
You're doing it every day,
and
all day.
The program itself, I believe at that time was really, really fantastic, I thought, right?
Yeah.
So
sounds
after
great.
we finished that, we actually did 2, I believe. We flew to New York.
Right.
To do a little workshop thing where everybody does acting stuff, and then managers and agents come and watch you, and then
showcase.
You have meetings for like 3 days. Showcase, yeah. So we did our showcase straight as a third years. We did that. We went and did
they
that
set
stuff.
that up. The university set that up for you in New York. Nice.
Yeah, we
That's
all
great.
set that up. Everybody did the thing, and then by the time I finished that, I had basically a manager and an agent that was bi-coastal.
Right.
Who was it? Was it Gersh? Is that a
Gersh agency?
Yeah, that was a huge
agency. Yeah.
So then, the Gersh, whatever, them.
The
That's
Gersh.
Who
the
was
Gurdon.
whatever.
The one that any actor in the right mind would love to be a part of. Yeah, that one.
Yeah, I had no. Listen, I had no idea. So then I had that, and then I could go to LA or New York, and so I decided to go to LA at that time. And I don't know if I stayed with Gersh. I didn't. I was with them for a little bit, and then I went with Stone Manners agency. I don't know if that's still around, but then I ended up with them because they were smaller and they were more focused on the kinds of things that I wanted to do. I don't even know what I was doing, whatever. So, and I started to go, I went out actually in a lot of really great auditions for some pretty gigantic roles.
Right.
And I obviously never booked any of them. And I was so close on so many of them. Who like, that's not a story anybody wants to hear. I was the runner.
I want to hear it. What was some of the? Because I remember some of mine.
A Walk in the Clouds. That was one of the biggest. Yeah. That was probably my biggest audition.
Who ended up getting that?
There. Penelope Cruz.
Right. Okay. Yeah. That's right.
I'm
yeah.
There's all of these actresses that I used to be up against. So that's Latina, when I was doing acting was Penelope Cruz. Was that Selma Hayek?
Right.
Obviously Jennifer Lopez. Those were right there. Those were my
contemporaries.
Contemporaries. And at that time, there weren't very many people of any kind of color like mine. Mm-hmm. And not that I'm even I could pass for whatever you want me to pass for. So I do have that privilege of being able to pass for exotic, which is what
but this is the 90s, right? Mid 90s.
This is 94.
Yeah.
Yes.
So there wasn't a ton of diversity in film and television.
Correct. And so I also there was a role that what's a Training Day. That was another one that but in Training Day it was Eva Mendes was my Eva Mendes. She's the one that got all my roles.
She got all your
every
roles?
single time. So I could have had her career. So if you would want to know what that was, I could have been Ryan Gosling's wife. Okay?
Right. You could have, right.
But no, that didn't.
But you ended up where you are now. Okay.
But I am here now, correct. No, but also Eva was so I have a story. We went to we did it was a pilot for it was some kind of ninja pilot. It was all the ninjas. Of course, and there were all the ninjas of every, type. So I was the.
Oh, you had a thing.
What was I?
The Latina ninja.
Yeah. Yes. I was the Latina ninja.
Tina. Yeah. I don't know how to say it.
Whatever. So and of course everybody
ninja.
fell in a thing, right?
Yeah.
Everybody had to think.
The big black guy, the little nerdy. Yeah, I got it.
Yeah. So and went to, how do you call it? See, all these terms. When you go to producers or whatever. Is that what you call it? When you keep going and you keep going and you this was my third callback.
Oh yeah, a recall, an interview or whatever.
Yeah, but we were there the whole day and we had to go in to see producers and come out and sign contracts.
Yeah. They were testing. They're testing markets. They're testing.
Yeah, they were testing
the dynamic
we were
of
testing.
the thing.
That's what it was. It was
testing.
We were testing who they were gonna cast.
Yeah.
And I remember very
Mix
specifically
and match.
going in there. Yeah. going in there and signing my contract, and it was $40,000. I remember.
Right.
$40,000 for a week of work, and I was like,
Cha-ching.
oh my God.
Yeah,
Mind you, I've never seen that much money
in a contract before.
ever.
Even written out on paper. You've never seen that much.
Yeah, no. And I
Sure, that's
like,
life-changing. Life-changing.
Yeah. So I remember I had to sign the contract before. So that what took me, things like that take you off your game. Because here you are, like, prepared for your audition, right? I'm the Latina ninja.
Yeah.
Right? I'm ready to do my scene. And then I'm like all Latina ninja out, right? I'm like, and then you walk in and they put this contract in front of you. And here I am, like I've never seen that much money in my life.
24 years old?
20,
25?
I don't even know, whatever. Yeah. Am I probably like late-ish 20s?
Mm-hmm. No representation with you, no attorney, no agent
no.
They're going,
and
if you want this part.
Yeah, I'm trying to read this, and that took me into a totally different part of my brain.
Sure.
Yeah.
Trying to figure out is this even okay? Like, what am I signing off here? Like, what am I saying? Whatever.
Yeah. Do they own me now?
We had the whole day there. I think everything went fine. I mean, all of us sort of bonded because everybody's in the same room for a day.
Scared
and
shitless.
You just go in and come out. Go in and go out. Go in and go out. And I don't know what they're doing in there. And so, guess who took me home that day?
Eva Mendes.
Yes.
Nice.
That's sweet.
And
so she was also part of the kind of the obvious. She was obviously. Was she the other? There's there only two other and two Latinas going up for the same ninja role.
Yeah.
This is a great story.
I know.
I'm just loving this thing. Okay.
And so then
Ava says, "Come on, I'll take you home."
Yeah, so sweet.
Knowing that you were not going to get the role, she was like, I'll throw you a role.
No, I don't think she knew either. But she was so down to earth, loved her so much. Her vibe was like the best.
She's Puerto Rican, right? Isn't she she's Puerto Rican, isn't she?
I don't exactly know which one, where she's from.
which one of those Latin countries?
She dropped me off at home. We had a great little chat. I haven't talked to her since, but it was so sweet. Yeah. And of course she got the role. Yeah.
She did.
So she got the role.
Oh man.
And then from then on, it was like one of those things where I'm like, oh. So she got that role. I think that was before training day. She got training day too. And then, it's like one of those things where I'm like,
fast tracked. But you still had a big shot, and maybe even more so in theater than, because all that was happening in LA, right? Not in New York. Yeah. So after grad school, you kind of said you had a choice, but was the Gersh agency was encouraging you to stay in LA because there was more TV and film opportunities happening?
In fact, none of those people. I didn't even know how to stand up for myself. I can tell you that they passed on the majority of all theater opportunity that came my way that I didn't know about.
Sure.
So that was something that I didn't know, because it would take me away from whatever, and it's pilot season, and it's like and it's like, and so you're like, okay, and I didn't know that was happening,
right?
And I didn't really do any more theater. First of all, just because of that, I didn't know how to stand up for myself. I didn't know how to advocate for myself, or even if I should, I have no idea.
You put your career and your future in the hands of professionals.
Yeah.
But not understanding that they don't necessarily have your best creative interests at heart. They have financial interest.
Correct. Yes.
And you hear the story of a lot of actors who are like, no, I told my agent I'm going to go off and do theater for 6 months or a year tour. And they were unhappy about it, but they did it anyway. Yeah. So at what point then do you kind of like burn out on that LA Hollywood scene?
I think it was after, I don't know, the 100th no. Right. I mean, I did do, I booked a couple of little tiny things.
Yeah.
And I never got my footing in the sense that I never felt well, I think what ended up happening is I couldn't break out of what Hollywood was telling me that I was.
Yes.
And so every time I got the sides, every time I got the sides, it was like the hot Latino woman, kind of like J-Lo.
Right.
And and like
going,
every
Gucci,
single...
Gucci, Gucci.
Yeah. And so you either had to do exactly what Todd said. So it's either the spicy, the one that breaks into Spanish when it's like a comedy show. Yeah. And they want that. Usually that's in the sides. Every single side had that thing.
She curses him out in Spanish.
Yeah.
It's like specifically said they want that.
Yeah. No, it's
I get
like J-Lo.
I get it.
Like Jennifer Lopez. Like it was in the sides.
Yeah.
And so when somebody says like Jennifer Lopez, you're like, oh, well, that's.
I guess I'm
not Jennifer Lopez.
I'm not Jennifer Lopez, and I also don't look like her. And so there was that aspect of it, and the other aspect is that again, every single role was highly sexualized, and as much as I just
she comes out of the shower dripping and the towel falls.
Yes, and I think that was one of the things because I did meet what is his name, the director for Training Day who has done many other.
Oh yeah,
Fuqua is his last name. I can't remember his first name. And I do remember reading that script, and there was a scene in there where, and I knew Denzel Washington was attached to that.
Right.
I mean, listen, allegedly, I had heard allegedly things about Denzel in the space.
Okay.
Allegedly. Just stuff.
Regarding his
just
attitude towards women?
Possibly, yes.
Yeah, I hear.
And but again, it's all allegedly, it's all quiet. And I knew that there was a scene in that specific movie script where the love interest is the character that I was going in for. And she's got a full-on nakedness happening. And I remember going, I don't know if I'm ready for this.
Yeah.
And
you had concerns.
I had concerns about it. And it was an El Salvadorian woman, right? So that's what was in the script. And I'm from El Salvador.
I remember the film. I remember,
So it was sort of one of those things where I did talk with him, and it was fine.
Director.
It was the director, the conversation, and I read, and I know that I didn't exude, and that's what just give the whole thing, because I didn't want to rely on that. And
so you purposely kind of held back on some of that.
I always did, every single time, even when I was cast as that, which is when I also got cast in another really amazing film. It's called Do You Want to Know a Secret? And it is a very, it's a total, I guess, horror movie. Where, guess what happens in this film? It's so interesting. There's a group of like young
campers,
not quite
teenagers.
Summertime
teenagers.
Summertime, going to like the Florida Keys and stuff. And guess what happens there? There's like murder.
There's some kind of incident.
And it's called Do You Want to Know a Secret? And blood. Do you want to know a secret? This was after, what is that one movie that it did?
I Know What You Did Last Summer?
I know, exactly. It was right after I Know What You Did Last Summer. So it's exactly
so it's like a knockoff
it's the same
version.
Yeah. So guess who I played?
You played the Latino girl. Did I get it right?
Yeah.
Yay. I get the prize.
The hot Latina
you pay
girl.
You pay the Eva Mendes part that she wouldn't take because it was too low budget.
Yes, yes, of course.
So you were becoming like the generic Eva Mendes, basically. Yeah. The low budget.
Totally.
Off brand.
I know.
The white label.
Oh my God. So anyway, and of course, because it's an ensemble piece, you do have a piece. It's like, seriously, there's the Latina person, there is the black guy, there is the white girl, and then of course the lead is also a white girl. And then of course the lead is a black guy. I mean a white
jock.
Guy, right?
Yeah, guy.
The jock guy.
Yeah.
So who is the lead in there was Joey Lawrence, as you.
Okay. Yeah.
I don't know. So anyway, I get on the, I get my fitting, and the outfit I was like, I
the
cannot.
quote unquote
Outfits. Yeah.
costume.
I was like, I can't.
Was it like a bikini,
It was
a mesh bikini?
And a bikini and another bikini and another bikini. And so then I kept going
and
like, can
shorts, denim shorts that cut. Yeah.
Yeah. So then I just, thankfully, the dresser people were really supportive.
Yeah.
And I said, I'm not going to be walking around with my ass hanging out. So I need a little
more
skirty thingy
coverage
to cover my ass. Okay. I can do the top part, but my ass, no. And I tried to, and wraps. So we did a lot of wraps. Like I had the triangle top and then wraps on the bottom. Every single time. They were really great. They worked with me. And in terms of the looks, I also was like, can we please undercut I'm literally almost naked here. We do not have to make my hair and makeup also that. So I told her, can I have ponytails for this one? Like literal pigtails. Can I have like lots of, so I brought a lot of the same fashion style that I tend to have anyway. Yeah. So I was like, can we have this? And they totally went with it with me. And they sort of undercut the overt, because listen, I'm already in a bikini. Like, do you need to really just be, I'm already half naked. I'm already almost naked. So
thong and pasties. We want you in a thong and pasties.
Then, but make it sexy.
Right. High heels, maybe in the Everglades, like 6 inch.
But they were great, and so they supported me in that. But there was another actor, who was the other girl there, not the lead, but the other, and she really hammed it up, like all the sexy part with like. She went all in, and even like she was improvising it like on thing where she was like doing like, I'll just do a blowjob. Oh. That kind of stuff. And I was like, was that in the script or am I
right?
And then or we'd get things like
I wonder what conservatory she went to.
I don't know. But in the hot tub, there was like another scene I remember in the hot tub, like, why don't you two like get
a little
just
comfy,
look like you're, and I'm like, this was never, and I didn't. And so I did my part as written. Yeah. And I just refuse shit like that. I refuse stuff like that.
Yeah.
And so I didn't get as much screen time.
Right.
Although I had the best death scene ever. Oh. I made it to the like I was in the middle of the movie is when I die. So I do make it. I was not the last girl.
Right.
But I made it to the halfway mark and I had the best. Like I had a whole entire almost day just for me.
Just dying.
How'd you die?
I was at the beach. I was at the pool, of course, dancing by myself.
Yep. Nighttime.
In a bikini.
Right.
In a bikini. Dancing. And the dude comes and like there's a camera shot from underneath the water. So they had a special camera just for me. Oh. Nice. Underneath the water looking up, and then you could
kind of like you look now, actually.
Like that. That's right.
The blue back. Yeah.
He came back and then he slit my throat up when I was like this. And then I fall in the water. And then like I go, and like the blood comes out. And there's like a shot of me dying with my eyes open. So I had to that was so fun. That was the best part. I love that. It was so great. Wow.
Nelly Lopez, you played in that.
Nelly Lopez, that's right.
God, I wish I had a clip of that. Why didn't I get that clip?
Oh my God. I don't even know where it is now, but I do. But that was so fun. But it was.
So you kind of find yourself constantly coming to grips and being confronted by this drive to put you into pigeonhole you into these positions of sexualized ingenue, which was very typical of the 90s and those kind of films. And you were being a bit naive, thinking you're going in and you're going to be the actor because you came out of serious acting background in conservatory and stuff and theater. And then you get confronted with, oh my God, actually, this is what they want me to do. This is what I'm being asked to do. and not being able really to mitigate that in any real way, and not having any kind of people around you. Probably Eva Mendes had a whole team around her at some point that was like, guiding this process, because it's a fine line. You want to walk it to some degree, but not cross it into the land of, oh, she plays the slut in things, right?
Yeah. And I think you have to, the point of that, what I've figured out, and I don't know if this is still the case, but it's one of those things where it's like an understated thing. Like, you have to pay your dues.
Right.
So you have to take those roles.
Yeah.
You got to do
Jennifer
it.
Aniston did, what was it, a few slasher films and things.
And then you will start to open up. Now, I think that the hard part is that during that time too, I didn't really fit the mold of what they viewed to be a Latina person, right? They imagined it to be like, again, J-Lo is the quintessential that.
Yeah.
At that time.
Rosie Perez, were you ever getting any of that kind of?
I did. Yeah. Some of those kinds of things. But if you look about that, most of them, there's a little bit of an accent.
Yeah.
There's also a certain hair type.
Attitude and a hair type. Yeah.
Certain hair type, certain body type.
Right.
And I didn't fit any of that. So I remember many times going in to do roles, they would go like, that was really great, but your eyes are green.
Right.
And I was like,
shouldn't that be a good thing?
Or
they're beautiful eyes.
I can wear contacts.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
But
like there's a lot of stuff like that happened where it was just defeating in a lot of different ways or you're too pretty. That was also another thing that I got because with the roles that I would go to, I didn't really actually ever go for the lead unless the lead was like for A Walk in the Clouds. That was the lead. It was like a Spanish film, essentially. It was based in, right? So that is what that was. But for everything else, the Latina or the person of color is not the lead. It's never the lead.
You're the standout. You're
and
you're the spice.
You cannot be any more good, like nicer looking, more attractive than the lead. You can't.
Yeah.
If you're a best friend, you have to be a best friend that's not as hot.
Right.
Like you can't be.
2 grades under the
whatever
2 grades of
that
hotness
is, right?
below the whatever the level that the lead is at.
And so that's weird because then you're like, how do I do that? Like how do you compete against these rules? And that's the part that I got very defeated by. I was just like, I don't even want to deal with this stuff because I just keep getting close.
Yeah, I think you were too young at the time, but a character actor was your destiny. It's similar with me. My look is what always kept me back because I was leading man look, but I felt character actor, and I can't play an everyman. You're not going to look at me and go, oh yeah, he could be an auto mechanic or a nerd working in an office or something like that. It was just, but if there's already a leading man, again, I can't play best friends to Matt Damon because then you go, well, what do we need 2 of them for?
Right.
Or whatever, not that I'm saying I'm as good looking as Matt Damon or whatever, but it was that kind of thing. It was like there was room for one in that position, and it was going to go to the highest. So you were essentially being put up for: is she going to be the lead Latina in these films and TV shows, or is she going to fill out an ensemble, a diverse ensemble? In these films or television shows. And if she's going to fill out the diverse ensemble, then we need her to do a couple more things that we're expecting, which are rather cliche, which is, get your kit out and jiggle it around and do a little dance, like Spanish dance, something. Put a rose in your teeth and okay, so you're sorry. It's just because we're old friends. I go, get your clackers. Do you got the clackers?
I'm sure it would have gotten clackers at some point.
Gotta have the clackers. Can't be Spanish Latina without clackers. So you did some stuff though. You did Orange County. You did some other films, TV, movies. You had a little bit of success, right?
I did. Again, it's nothing I would be like, look at what I did. Like now I think it's great. I'll like show my kids. I'm like, don't blink, guys.
Yeah.
And also, it's always like a stereotype, right? It's like for Orange County, I was the maid.
Right.
And the one
Did
with
you have clackers?
Virginia Madsen, I was some kind of prison person that beat her up. Like it was,
Okay,
you know.
yeah.
So it's
Tattooed.
and then for I think there was another film in there also. I was also a maid.
I'm looking at
and I died in almost every single one. And one of them, Missing Pieces.
What was Walker, Texas Ranger?
Oh, that one was one of my favorites. I did that one. I was an actual like agent. But I do die in the beginning of the episode. So I'm dead prior to the credits.
Right.
But it was a great scene. I mean, it was really fun. That was actually quite fun. And I also had a fantastic death scene on that one. Oh, that was so fun. But
Nothing better than a good death scene.
It was so great. So no, on that one, I was an agent. I was undercover, of course, as the hot like wife of the drug cartel or girlfriend.
Oh yeah, I see. Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I get caught.
Right.
Or I get made, you know, like right at the thing. And I'm putting away the cell phone or something, you know, I'm like, oh my God. And I'm doing the thing and I'm like, oh honey, blah, blah, blah. Right. And they get that I'm being made. And so I have to go see him. I have to see my
Walker.
boyfriend or whatever.
Oh, the guy. Yeah.
The guy. Yeah. Because I never actually acted off of Walker. And I walk into the thing and the guy talks to me or whatever, the main
narc
drug addict. Or drug cartel guy.
Yeah.
And he sits there and he grabs a knife and he's like, and he just throws it. And I'm like, oh, and it hits me like right in the middle of it.
Oh my God. I want to see all these now. It's insane.
It was so fun because I got to work with knives. Like,
and
so like, you know, and it's like,
yeah, do the whole thing.
And then like, it was just so great. It was fantastic. I had such a great time. The other one, I got run over. I mean, I've had so many deaths. It's great.
We could go through all these. Yeah.
Oh, I wish we had like just a compilation of.
I know.
Elsie's
I want to.
That'd be so fun.
We need the Elsie death clip. VIP, young Mexican woman.
That literally would have been my reel. She can die well on screen.
She does. I die. I think I've died in everything I've done
as well.
That's
kind of hilarious.
That's
actually.
pretty good. I should do my. I should do a death reel. Yeah, let's get hold of all your material. Make a death reel.
Oh my God, that's
great.
Crazy.
What was young Mexican woman in VIP? Is that?
Oh my God, that one. Oh, first of all, I could not find this TV show, meaning I could not find
Pamela Anderson
anywhere. It's nowhere, right? But my experience working with Pamela was, first of all, that woman at that time, and I'm sure now because she's having a resurgence, she was the most beautiful woman I have ever laid eyes on.
Really?
And she's like this big.
Right.
Like,
yeah, she's
so
petite.
tiny and small.
Yeah.
And so she came in, no makeup, wearing like just white sweatpants and white nails, like with little heart thingies on top. It was like, I noticed every little bit of herself. She smelled so great in her hair and clean face and just like,
did you develop a little crush on this?
Oh, she was so cute and beautiful at once. Like you could see, right? Anyway, so she came in.
This is 25 years ago, by the way. Yeah.
So sweet. But this one, so it's super campy, right? VIP was the campiest thing you've ever seen in your entire life. And I never even watched the show.
Yeah.
But I guess Pamela in the story there, she gets blown up the boat gets blown up and then she ends up floating away. And then she lands in an island with lots of Mexicans. And she,
as you do,
saved
that Mexican island,
by the Mexicans. And what was I?
You played the Mexican girl on the island.
Yes, but what's the adjective?
The sexy Mexican. Thank you.
Yeah. So then, so that one, I forgot about this because I just watched it the other day. Because somebody sent it to me. I said on my podcast, I was in an episode of VIP, blah, blah, blah. I can't find it. I can only find the German dubbed version.
Okay.
And I'm like, I want a Spanish, not Spanish. I want the actual version, right?
Yeah.
So this person sent it to me. He actually had it. And so now I have a copy of it. Anyway, all that to say, I saw that and I looked at my outfits and I was like,
short jean shorts.
I literally, okay, so this top that I'm wearing right now, it's kind of like the top that I was wearing there, but it was only here. Like there was no more top. It was just like no more top.
There was no bottom to the top. It was just top, middle.
Then,
it was more like middle than top. And no bottom.
No bottom. And just like these tiny little shorts.
Yeah.
And my hair was like
Jeez, I'm picturing it now.
Just hair. And
how come this show didn't do better than it did? I don't understand.
I looked at it and I was just like, I cannot remember. I must have blocked it out that I was dressed like that.
Yeah.
But I couldn't even recognize myself. I looked so vampy as a peasant Mexican girl in the village.
Right. Poor
with dirt. Anyway.
Dirty face.
And that was so funny. But I remember that was also an experience of me having to, for the very first time, I have a scene with Pamela Anderson on paper.
Right.
So I was like, oh, I have a scene with her. But actually, that entire scene was done to a stand-in. She wasn't even there. Oh. So I never even acted off of her. And that was the other thing that I was like, this isn't fun. Like you walk in and you're doing the thing and then the person who's standing in for you isn't even acting. They're literally
reading the dialogue.
Reading the thing. And then I got, and I'm like,
But to be fair, do you think Pamela would have done a better job than the stand-in?
Listen, she was so cute. And I think she actually did a really good job being herself in that. She was so cute and campy. Again, she didn't take herself seriously. Now that I look back at VIP, I thought she did a fantastic job.
Okay.
Now, when VIP was on, I was very like rolling my eyes and it's I cannot believe I'm doing VIP. Yeah. But now I realize as a pop culture moment and the type of show that it was, she was iconic.
Yeah.
So,
she was,
and now when I think about it, now I'm like, wow, that was really cool. But I didn't get a chance to act off of her. It was all.
Is this before the sex tape or after? Must have been before.
I have no idea. I didn't follow that. Yeah. I think it might have been after, though.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. I don't remember. But anyway.
Okay.
That was so fun.
So let's talk about how Elsie gets off the acting track, because you did a lot and you were doing, and there was stuff, and you were getting opportunities. Yeah. But, and I'm not going to go into any detail, but I say that I know you had a bad relationship at the time, and that was part of the reason why you split out from LA, right? So was it the kind of combination of the two, kind of getting burned out on the showbiz Hollywood scene and trying to ditch out from the bad relationship? Because did you end up in Arizona? Somebody gave you an opportunity. I remember you told me.
Yes, I did. So that was really great. I was considering
to do some theater. Yeah.
The only theater that I did is I actually did work for the San Diego Rep. I did a show for the San Diego Rep.
Okay.
That was really great. That was around 2000. And that was amazing. I worked with Ricardo Chavira from, now he's done anything for like Selena, the TV show. He did, what is the one with the, oh my God, and yet another Latina person. I can't remember the name of it, but anyway. Ricardo Antonio Chavira, who attended actually San Diego Rep, and his teacher was also Charlie Oates, who I said Coates, sorry, Charlie Oates, who was my movement teacher. He had him as a movement teacher also, so we had that in common, which was really great. So anyway, I worked with them, and then I was considering making a move. It was one of those weird things. I hadn't worked on stage since 2000, and it was then 2007. Yeah. And I was considering making a move. I didn't know how I was going to make a move, like just any move, like just how can I escape? It was like that thought.
Right.
It was the weirdest thing. In comes a phone call from Randy, who had been an director of mine at the Denver Center, or for the NTC. He directed us in a play there.
Yeah.
haven't heard from him. Randy Myler, he called me and he goes, "Hey, do you want to do a show at the Arizona Theater Company? It's called Touch the Names."
Right.
And I was like, "Oh, when does it start?" And he's like, 2 weeks. And you'll be gone for, I don't know, 5 weeks or something. And I was like, yeah. And that's how I left.
Right.
It literally took me out. I'm like, I'm leaving
and
I'm getting paid.
Yeah.
And I'm out.
And I got a place to go. Yeah.
That was phenomenally shocking.
Yeah. Perfect.
So
timing.
then after I got whisked off randomly, just landed on my lap. This was not an audition. This was here's a role for you.
Right.
Come over. And I left. And I left that October, and I don't think I came back.
That was it
Oh,
for
you
LA.
stayed in Arizona.
No, I didn't stay in Arizona. I left. I was in Arizona. I think I came back to LA just to pack, and then I moved to Pittsburgh.
Oh.
I know.
Okay.
I know.
Because you got tired of the sun and the heat and the.
Yeah. I know. You're like, wait a minute. What? So,
well, meanwhile, you were doing.
Go to Pittsburgh.
I know.
Yeah. Well. That was to do with another relationship, wasn't it?
Yeah. With my husband. Yeah.
Your current husband. Yeah. He was based there.
Right. So worth.
Yeah. So there. Blame him.
Yes. Yes.
And the yoga stuff was kind of concurrent with the rest of this?
Yes, it was. So the yoga stuff I ended up doing because, of course, I was serving tables when I was in LA. I was getting very, very sad at all the auditions that I went on and never booked anything. And I was living with a lot of anxiety. I think that I'm depressed. I was depressed because I wasn't getting out of bed till noon or ish. I didn't want to answer the phone because I was afraid I was going to get an audition, and I had to deal with having to go pick up my sides and all this stuff. Right. And I was also working at a restaurant, and that was keeping me up fairly late because it was 5 to 2 in the morning every day.
Yeah.
And I decided, in order for me to stay in shape, I ran. And when I was running, I knew that you needed to stretch your body out. And I decided to go take a yoga class. And the yoga changed my life. It literally, I didn't know anything about yoga. I mean, other than when I went to grad school. Again, we had yoga 3 times.
Yeah.
But it was really not. I mean,
it was like a class or something like
it was like a class. It wasn't really a yoga class. I mean, not to the extent of a yoga class, right?
Yeah, no.
So
it was like a university.
It was it was kind of wacky. So I went to this class and it changed me. And I didn't know what happened. I didn't study yoga. I just went in and I did the thing. And then I started to feel different. And I was curious about that. I was like, what is happening to me? And I started to do research because I didn't know why I was so much calmer and why I was feeling better. And so I'm thinking
why am I happy right now?
Yeah, what is going on? So I did the research and I fell in love with what it did with me. And I was like, wow, this thing is actually like a science and it works. And so I went down that path and I really went all in. It was my outlet and I started teaching it. And I built a pretty decent following. And that's how I transitioned from acting to
you
just
built a follower.
Yoga.
I got a whole follower out of it.
I got a one.
I got a very decent follower. I built.
A very.
Did you do the teacher trainings, the 200-hour or the 500-hour?
I did a bunch of teacher trainings. I did cool.
Certified.
Teacher training. Yeah. Certification when I started was a little harder and a little bit more nebulous to do. Right. So I did have a lot of the hours, and then there was a big, gigantic, horrific thing that happened with the yoga that I used to invest most of my time learning about. There was oh my God, horrible things.
Was it the hot yoga?
No, I was not a Bikram fan ever. Okay. This was for the Anusara yoga community. So John Friend, who was the lead head, most of these guys are all kind of the same. He wasn't as bad as Bikram. Bikram was really bad.
Yeah.
John was I guess a little bad, but a little bad is still bad, right?
It's bad. Yeah.
It's bad.
Just varying
And
degrees of, yeah.
exactly. I was in the process of getting my certification for Nisara, and then all of the stuff like exploded, and I was like, oh my God. So I kind of.
So it's a useless certification to have.
Yeah. Well, I think it wouldn't have been useless, but yeah, the name. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's terrible.
like it was terrible.
I went to the Bill Cosby School of Comedy.
Yes. Yeah. Is that kind of stuff. So even if like. Yeah. Because I did train with him a little bit, but the majority of my core training was from my local teachers who hadn't, so anyway, whatever. So that happened. And that's how I got into the podcasting thing, because my students, sometimes when I used to leave to go places or take a break or something, would go or they would leave and they would go to a vacation. Yeah. They would go up to me and they would go, oh my God, I wish we could take you with us. Oh. And I was like, okay. You can. So that made me think that people would want to.
Yeah.
And that's why I started with the yoga thing after I got into podcasting, just because I found it to be so interesting as a concept, because I got an iPod and I was listening and I'm like, oh, this is interesting. It's fancy NPR people. But then I found the everyday podcasters doing stuff. And I go, wait, who allowed these people?
Right. Who gave you permission to say that?
Who gave them permission? Right. And that's when it all opened up, because after living with, this is how you have to do it. These are the ways to move the world.
Right.
This is how, I'm like, you mean I can do whatever I want? I can
all I need is a microphone and a way to record.
Yeah.
Wow.
And internet.
Yeah.
And I can be this thing.
Yeah. And nobody needs to even know what I look like.
Right.
And that was like,
right.
Bing! Nobody.
You didn't have to put on a bikini.
I don't have to put a bikini.
to be a,
here we are.
To be a performer.
I know.
Just even if you wanted to, you could. But
if I wanted to, I could. That's right. But nobody needed to tell me who I was, because it was audio only.
Yeah.
So that was I was like, oh my God, I want to do this thing. So I tested the waters with recording my yoga classes live.
Yeah.
When I used to go teach, I would just have a little recorder.
Right.
And like I would teach
and
then
it.
I would only I would record like a little intro at the beginning and saying like, hey guys, you might need a couple blocks, a strap, and this and that, and hey, follow me on my blog, and blah, blah, blah. And here's the class. And then I would transition into the class, and the class itself was basically uncut of me teaching yoga. And I made sure that people understood that I'm not teaching to them. No, I'm not teaching to the people who are listening. Yeah. I'm teaching to the people in the class.
Room. Yeah.
So you get an opportunity to just be part of my yoga classes. And I learned how to edit that way. And of course, the level's all weird and it's hard to hear. And I got a little better as we went through, but it did really, really, really well.
First of its kind in that genre and with that niche. And you were also like an early adapter, which is crazy. And it's also crazy to think it was 15 years ago, right?
Yeah, 2006, July 30th or 31st is when I published my first episode.
Right.
2006.
So almost 20 years ago, which in the grand spectrum doesn't seem like a long time ago, but
for podcasting,
it's like ancient history. Yeah. It's like the dawning of the new television, and you were in. So that made kind of a massive ground shift change in your life, where then you took on, and the thing I kind of want to get to is like, how did the background in acting then sort of speak to your ability and your desire and this new art, your ability to do this new thing and feed into that?
Oh my God, yeah. That was very, it was helpful, primarily because the first thing I noticed when you showed that clip of The Tempest was that my voice. Like that was the first thing that I thought of was my voice. Did nobody ever help me with
Tell
that?
you
Like,
not to squeak.
yeah, and it never stopped. Like it was high, it was all the one tone. Like I do remember like hearing that, I thought, oh my God. Because when I went to grad school, I had an
Voice coaching.
amazing
Yeah.
voice teacher. His name is Timothy Douglas. Unbelievable. And he really single-handedly, I believe, shifted my voice, like how where it I mean, in so many different
Your ability
ways.
to use it and
My ability to use it, my understanding of what of my voice
should be
metaphorically and
is.
physically is.
Yeah.
How it impacts me, how locked up I was.
Right.
Because there was so much tension and habits and culture and I read a book in a different voice. I think that was the book. I think Kristen Linklater book.
Yeah.
But anyway, and there was another one. It was something about I think that's the book where it really showed, especially for in women's voices, how we tend to do things with our voice to get what we want or stay safe. And the upper registers and all of the different things and where it is in your body. Like I just recognized so many different layers to what that was like. And then doing yoga actually helped even more. So that brought another layer to discovering what that feels like and tension and opening up. And so when I got behind the mic, it really helped me use my voice as a tool to reach people's ears and have that resonance. Or I really try to do that, and I do that consciously a lot of the time when I'm behind the mic, where I get a chance to play with my voice a little more, to understand the different musicality of how the tempo, the loudness levels, like all of this stuff that I can do with that tool. Was great, speed,
the resonance,
like that's another
and how it lands on the ear. Yeah,
oh,
the speed.
absolutely. Yeah, all of the different things. And I don't do it in a manipulative way. It's just like putting on a character, right? Like what is it that I want to achieve, right? What is the action that I want to make you do? Like what do I want from
What's
this?
the feeling I want you to get?
Or like
the mood,
all of that stuff,
the impact.
So
maybe you could teach some of that to Jay, because I've been working on him. This is
I know I suck.
It's all
oh my God.
So what about the not just the voice, but also the presentation? Because you started out in audio only, but now you've shifted. When did you kind of shift and start doing more like video podcasting like we're doing now?
I used to do a podcast called ShePodcasts, and we started doing daily, like we would record in front of people. So in kind of like the same way that you guys are doing this, but you guys are recording sort of live to tape as much as possible and putting it out. What we would do is we would go live, but we would not pretend to be going live to tape. It was a total train wreck most of the time. But part of that was that was very much charming. Our banter was amazing. People really loved us because we were really just a train wreck all the time. And people got to see us do that, getting behind the mic, and we would go out every week. And then it was edited out. We never released that. I mean, it was live. The stream was live, but we only really pushed out the audio polished version to our feeds, right? But
not live in front of an audience of living, like live people,
no.
Live online.
Live online, extra live streaming.
Yeah. And
that was the beginning of it. And I started to realize that I couldn't fight the camera anymore.
Right.
And so I would say it was 2022-ish, like the beginning of 2022, where I started to delve a little bit more.
Okay.
And really start to advocate for we need better for my job that we need to really get serious about video. We need to get very serious about video. We need this, that, like, but you can't, it's a company. I can't be showing up with a laptop.
And a t-shirt.
My video. So I slowly started to build my setup that way, but I was getting my hands wet, whatever, my feet wet, whatever.
Something was wet. There was a lot of water. I don't remember
there was
why.
a lot of water.
For a technical setup, it was pretty wet. Anyway.
Yeah. And so, but going live was really helpful because we played around with lots of tools to go live, because again, it was like an experiment and that was fun. So I got a chance to test things, and I would go live all the time, but I usually would go live to test things. That was my thing. I wanted to test it out. I want to go live and see how this works. I want to see how I can teach better. I want to see what people are using. I want to get my hands on this tool, and slowly started to build it up through there from 2022. Then 2023 was like our entire team really went all hands on deck. Maybe it was 2021 when we started. And we started to really outline what we wanted to do, how to be more like what you guys have with your overlays and things like that. We use you guys use Video Ninja, which is one of our producers uses it on his own because it's free. Sorry. Then Ecamm call recorder is what we use internally, which is a one-time fee, an annual fee. And Ecamm is just like a local app that runs on my computer, and that's how we switch scenes and make it nice and all of that stuff. Yeah.
But my point here, because we're doing an actors podcast, you the presentational side, did it take you a minute to kind of get back into the feel of like, oh, okay, this is in what ways does it relate to the acting and performance to be a podcaster, and then I want to talk as well sort of like about not only are you a podcaster for our audiences who don't know you. I know a lot of people do in the podcast space, but you are award-winning and you're well respected and well known in the podcast industry. I don't know how to put it, but like I've heard a lot of podcasts. We all have. There's thousands and thousands out there. Not everybody can do it. I think being an actor helps tremendously. Certainly being a presenter or a radio personality or a voiceover artist, those are all additions to things. Some people have a natural ability to be on camera and to speak, but others need to work on it and be trained, and others are just terrible and will never be better. So what kind of thoughts do you have about that in terms of your training and how you ended up where you are now with the podcasting?
I think it is helpful, but I also see it from the perspective of you have to adjust from being on stage to being on camera. Those are two separate tool sets. There are things that intermix between them, but there's differences that I had to learn, and I don't think I did a very good job at it, but I did have to learn it, and so there was that aspect of it. But I think what podcasting does is that it kind of helps you be more okay, like just you, right? You're not acting, it's just you. Yeah. And you get to work with the camera on your own terms, at least when you're working with video. And you get to make eye contact, and you get to be yourself, and you don't have to act. And so you get an opportunity to now bridge that from you acting to you being you. And when you make that leap, that's when you really get to shine, because it's not that you're just being you're being you on camera. And so that's a whole other thing that you do get an opportunity to do. So if you can be you just with a little sprinkle on top, like a little shine, heightened, you're golden. That's when you get a chance
I guess maybe that's kind of what I was really driving at, is you, Elsie Escobar, are a trained actor, a very highly trained actor, and experienced one. So you just jumping on camera and flipping on the lights and turning the microphone on and being you is being, I am this thing. I'm this person who is a highly trained, professional performer, a live performer. And that's what you're getting. And then possibly, as I do, because if you just got me in this podcast, you would be appalled. So, you know what I mean? You'd be disgusted and appalled. So I have to heighten. So what audiences are getting right now is a very shiny. Look at this smile. I know you're not watching now on YouTube, but you look at that, and then listen to the rich timbre of my voice. But if it was just me and my jammies being like what Jay gets before we start recording,
before we start the podcast,
that's the awful bit. Now I would never show that to audiences because I wouldn't have an audience.
He talks way less.
Right. I don't.
Oh my
I
God,
grumble.
that's so
I grumble
funny.
more and talk less. But there is something to be said for I know, and so does Jay. How to turn it on in a sense, and I think I don't know. Some of that must feed in to some degree. But I don't want to bore you. I know you've talked about this 100,000 times, and if you're looking for Elsie, find her. Search Elsie Escobar, and you can find all of her podcasts. You're working for Libsyn now, which was a big help to me, and we use Libsyn ourselves to pump out there you go, shout out. So whatever kickback you get from that's fine. Let me know.
Just so much.
Yeah. So, but you are sort of you're iconic. You're a spokesperson. You're a representative of the podcast. I mean, what you're in the Podcasting Hall of Fame. Talk to us really quickly about that, just real quick.
Oh,
I know, right?
I tell everybody, I'm like, she helped us set up our podcast, and she's in the Podcasting Hall of Fame. So that's what makes my podcast so good.
I am. That was amazing.
Who made that mistake?
I know, right? It is actually it's sort of like the Hall of Fame started, I think, in 2015. I can't actually remember when it was.
Or something, yeah.
And it was sort of meant to highlight impactful people in the industry, pioneers in the industry, people that had really moved the industry forward. That had been podcasting by that time. I believe it was like 7 to 10 years.
Wow.
It had something to do with the 10 year. I think
longevity.
It was done when it was a 10-year thing. It started with a 10-year, that had been pioneers in the prior 10 years. And I believe the impetus for that came along because there was a lot. 2014 was a very, very, very impactful year for how and what podcasting is now. It was a huge inflection point. The first
the
thing
iPhone came out. Right?
It was the Apple Podcast app was the very first time that it was in the phone. So that really catapulted.
Right.
There was a massive technical
downloadable.
Thing that happened there where it made a lot of people shift. That's the word I was looking for. Where people made it it's more accessible. And to top it all off, we had Serial, SERIAL.
Like Captain Crunch?
Yes. Okay, no. Yeah.
That's like a serial code.
Yeah, the podcast. Have you heard?
I don't eat cereal.
Oh my God. Come on now. You got to get into your podcasting history, my love. So in 2014, Serial, SERIAL. This is when my ADHD really comes out.
I know.
Like a serial code.
Like serial killer.
A serial code, yes. Which it's still well known in the industry as a seminal podcast that made podcasting
blow up.
Everybody was talking about this podcast.
Oh, okay.
Everyone.
I remember now. Yeah.
Everyone. So then this is when it became like people on Facebook were like, did you? It was like,
have you heard this?
It was
viral,
crazy.
kind of going as viral as things could back then. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. And so that actually has another, but the only reason that Serial really took off that way, obviously it was a great podcast, so I'm not taking away from that. It's because the technical support was there from Apple.
Yeah.
So those two things together were like, whoa, right? So then that inflection point happened. All this to say, what ended up happening is the media went along with their narratives and they were like, podcasting is amazing. And it started with Serial.
Okay.
And you're like, what? Wait a minute. No, there's been other things that have been going on.
Yeah.
And so
but that's
the Hall
what
of
everybody
Fame started because of sort of like as a pushback to recognize people who without them,
Serial.
we wouldn't have what we have now.
The founding.
And it was that's where it came from. So every year the Hall of Famers were, I believe, voted from within peers. It's a peer voted thing where you get together, you vote for people, and then the more Hall of Fame people come in, the more the Hall of Fame people vote for the next batch, I guess.
Right.
And so that's how it became. And I was inducted into the Podcasting Hall of Fame in 2017. And that was a massive honor. It was really, really incredible, amazing experience for moi. So, yeah.
Well, that's amazing. Yeah, that's cool. How do I get in? Can you get me? Grease some wheels for me?
I know, right?
Who do I have to pay?
Who do I have to pay?
We'll talk later. I don't know. Elsie, anything else you want to tell the folks out there?
Not really.
We went through a lot of stuff, didn't we?
It was a lot of stuff. Yeah.
Jay, any questions for Else?
I have one. Maybe it's less of a question, more of a comment. It's kind of a question.
Okay.
And it was related. Well, because I have listened to your podcast, and I've watched some of your stuff before, because Todd has introduced you. And I feel like you have this energy about you, but both in your voice and also on camera. You are just very energized, which is it's just a unique quality, and it's something I really notice about you. Is that we were talking about the sprinkling, right? The sparkling of performance. Do you think it's that, or is that just your natural self, because it's very vibrant?
Thank you. That's very kind. That is, I believe, my secret sauce, in all honesty, because that is you're putting it on in a very positive light. So that's the positive light of what you're saying. But I have been called in numerous occasions, in fact, by our dear friend Chris, that I'm a Muppet, because I'm very much, and this has come up in my life often, I do tend to be very extra, and very animated. That's another thing that happens. And I also go against the grain, again, talking about the way you're supposed to present. A lot of people would often say to me when I was going on auditions, you don't have to make those faces. Those faces really actually work on being on stage.
Yeah.
Not so much when you're on camera. Because that's a lot. And especially when I'm dancing, when I'm very excited, it's very part of who I am. But in terms of the energy, no, I do understand that that's a power that I have. And that's why I really love being on stage and teaching in front of people, because I know that I can do that. I know that I can do that. That's a thing I do. And the thing that is that I turn it off. So once I'm done, it's that's what I do in front. And I'm very, energizing, and I enthusiastic, and people really resonate with my energy, and they feel that vibrant stuff, and they follow things I say. And I'm super excited that is something that folks really appreciate.
Yeah.
And
that's what made you so good with kids as well.
It was that. Exactly.
You turn it on, and it is it's a switch. It's something inside that you're time to bring it. And then when you're done,
She's
you're
always been
I'm
a little,
done. Then it's don't talk to me. I would literally
she can go both
probably
ways,
be
no.
no.
She can be extremely shy, hiding behind her hair, or burst out with just what was the thing you can, maybe we can get you to do it now. There was a thing you used to do, a froggy.
Oh my God.
It was this little Spanish froggy song, and it was
oh my God, that's right, I did.
Dude, give us a hum.
What
hum
the
a few
heck
bars
was that song, though? I honestly
went the little green frog one.
No,
day.
it was in Spanish.
Yeah, I know. You know what? I'm good. I'm sorry. I would totally do it, but I honestly cannot remember.
It was a thing you would do.
It was a Sapo song. I'm searching for it.
Yeah, search for it. How are the kids? How's the fam?
Oh, they're good.
Good. Yeah, Elsie's also a parent. I just want to.
I'm no.
Mention that as well.
They're good.
But you're right about her, the energy, and I think there's something to be said for it, and being able to turn it on and turn it off. It helps, and I think doing as much broadcasting or podcasting as you do, and having to sort of be on. I can even tell that she's salty old pro who can like search and talk and work and work and podcast at the same time, whereas I have to be completely focused on the process.
I just like I really like the, the idea that it's like it's something that is in you, and like you bring it, right? Like it's like a skill. It's like
Yes.
it's something within that you're intentionally like, I'm intentionally activating this to like give, and then like I cannot anymore, right? It's specific.
Lights
It's
up,
not like
energy up,
yeah.
and then lights
So I
go down.
think
All right, did you
that's
find it?
interesting and cool.
Did you find the thing?
Thank you so much, Jay. I do feel that it's I think that there's another. I like how you're calling that out as a skill set that is a bonus to working with me or having me part of your team or what I bring to the table. That's like a layer of a skill set that you don't get often with a lot of people.
Right.
I think the issue is that a lot of folks don't recognize that as a skill and they don't value it as a skill. So because we make things so easy, or because I've been doing this for so long and I can do what I do very easily.
Effortlessly.
You make it look
effortlessly.
easy.
They don't know what they're, but when you take that person out and then you ask somebody else to step in, that's the only time they're going to go,
oh, where's the dynamic? We're missing
Where's
that.
can you be more alive, please? Or
yes.
I don't know. Can you,
Yeah, it's similar. It's similar when Jay isn't around and I have to interview somebody and they're dull and the person I'm interviewing is dull and my energy is low. I just keep Jay around for the energy boost. It's, that's true, because if curmudgeon is a skill, then count me in. I'm your guy. If grumpy, like I can turn on grumpy just the same way that Elsie can turn on,
And all that to say too, that another thing that's really, that people often don't get in terms of the podcasting dynamic is that you either also can have that behind the mic, right? And or in front of camera and do that as a solo. But if you're doing a co-hosted show, it has to have that chemistry. It has to have something.
It's sidekick, by the way. It's
together,
not co-host.
right?
It's sidekick,
it's
though.
So important. It's so important.
Chemistry.
It is, to have that good chemistry. And I get a lot of compliments about Jay, who is my sidekick. I just want to make that clear. Not the co-host. The co-host has responsibilities and does things, but Jay.
It's funny. People come onto the show and then they call me co-host, and I say nothing, and I see Todd fuming, like he has to get on with the interview.
It's not fuming. It's just I have to correct him later.
No, not fuming. He's internally he heard it. I know he's heard it, and I'm not saying anything.
I was your co-host, and I go, no, not a chance. Not there yet. Oh. Did you find that song?
Wow, no, I did not. But I froze in a very scary thing. Yeah, I'm going to have to think. I have not thought about that song in a long time. I did see a lot of songs that came up, but I don't know which song it was.
There's a fun thing. You used to do it for the kids at school, and then occasionally you would entertain us at parties with this kooky. But it was all your faces all in one.
It was all the faces.
All the faces,
It was.
I should have prepped you in advance.
I know.
So if you get that song ready, we're going to have that as our closer. But you know what? We're just going to have you back on.
Oh my God, yeah. And we're going to talk about the Sapo song. Sapo verde. No, see, I knew about how to sing, but it was, I do know what you're talking about now. And I'm going to have to ask my mom. I can't remember.
Okay. How's your mom?
My
How's your folks?
Is really bad.
Ladies and gentlemen, Elsie Escobar. There she goes. There she is. Thank you so much. Woo, woo. All right. We'll say goodbye. We'll let you get back to your
morning.
Your busy podcasting schedule. You got a podcast today? Another one? You proper?
No. My days are now consisting of tons of meetings because that's what I do at work.
Okay.
Meetings.
Yeah. You've gone corporate meetings on us, right?
And so lots of meetings, sprints, content reviews, planning, so many.
Wow.
It was more exciting.
You do have to bring me back for content stuff. Okay?
Content.
Yeah. Because that video that you played at the beginning of the we really like that was one of my very first forays into
the
directing not directing in the same, like producing, I guess, like having an idea from start to finish what I wanted to put out, where we got the footage, who we got to get on the footage. We got the footage on like at Podcast Movement. We did the same thing this year. I have like some ideas in my head. I'm learning new skills of how to put this video out. So it's not a movie. It's not a YouTube video.
No, it's a whole thing.
It's a campaign. It's a multimedia messaging something or other. Like, I don't even know how to
call it. Gotta find a term for it. Yeah.
Good Lord.
We're still trying to do the same thing for Offstage. I got to start working on these shorts and create these little, these
UGC, user-generated content.
Yeah, I'm trying to get a little bit more of the UGC stuff happening for this campaign that I'm working on, but yeah, so it's another place to put it on.
Okay. And, we'll have you back. We'd love to
do that.
All right, we'll let you go.
Yay!
Thanks. Hang out for a minute. We'll wrap it up. Jay and I. Bye, Elsie.
Bye.
Thank you. Wow.
Great.
Oh,
Great.
We don't have to do too much chat because that was so great.
It was. There's a great chat. I learned a lot, and I'll be thinking. I'll be thinking for a while, especially about that point at the end about turning something on and off. It's just where I am as an actor, right? And doing auditions and like being like, I know what I need to bring, and it's like it doesn't have, sometimes separating myself and like bringing something alive, right? And about making that separate. There's actually like a skill in that, and it makes it intentional. And there's something in that I would love to grasp.
I think you made a point, and probably the best question of the whole interview, and that was a long interview, almost 2 hours there. Well, 2 hours. Longest so far.
She has quite the stories. I knew she was a podcaster, obviously, but I didn't know she really had quite the career. She has quite the journey.
She did have a great journey. That's why I was glad to get her on. And we had talked to my other friend who's a podcast producer and had an acting background, Jessica Beck, but we hadn't talked to a actual podcaster now, and so I was fascinated about that as well. But in terms of turning it on and off, I think this is a tremendous skill, and the sooner you can learn it, the better. Because for an actor, and then we'll leave it at this, but you get into on a set or in an audition, and it doesn't matter what you're feeling or going through, or you're put on the spot.
You have to do the thing.
Boom, and you have to find like what is there, where in you can you dig out like. Okay, gotta do. Boom.
Yep.
Here we go. Hey, everybody. No matter what is going on, and just drive that energy through.
Yes.
And break through whatever, barriers you might be.
Whatever's going on.
Yeah.
We do what we have to do. The show must go on.
The show's got to go on in that moment. Yeah. So when it's lights, camera, action, boom, there you go. Good stuff, Jay. Thanks so much.
Great stuff. Thank you.
And we want to thank all of you.
Thank you.
Our audiences. We want to thank Boy Andy.
Thanks, Andy.
Big thank you to Elsie Escobar again for joining us, an old dear friend of mine from the days of Loyola. Thanks to all the listeners, all the Loyola alumni who will be listening to this, I'm sure. Thank you, Jay. And we'll see you next time in the Offstage Acting Podcast. Did I make someone cry?
I don't think you made me. I think no.
Oh, I make you cry every episode.
No, a guest made me cry. You don't have that power. A guest made me cry.
I do have that power.